most dental practices, when they grow, usually it has a dentist who is what I call a fractional CEO, right? And so this person's practicing and then they're trying to be the CEO as well. And it's hard to do both of those things.
They are caring about making a difference. Head of technology, who I worked with very closely, head of marketing, all of the leaders of the company really were looking to find that impact of a sustainable platform for our dental practices, our clients to grow in.
And one thing that I've noticed a lot is that you hear about these amazing cultures at these dental organizations, these DSOs. They go, oh, we got the best culture. But then there's like a separate culture at the dental office. So you have DSO, great culture, and then you have the dental office, dumpster fire. Welcome to another episode of Dental Marketing Theory. I'm your host, Gary Bird. I'm the founder of SMC National, where we help you create, convert, and close more new patients so you can grow the way that you want. And I love sharing amazing, unique stories. And today is one that I've never heard before in the dental industry. I have Glen, who used to be the VP of Finance at Henry Schein for many years. And now he's a CEO of a dental group out of Utah. And he's going to share a little bit about his journey and some things that he wish he would have known before and some things that he's learning along the way that I think will bring impact to your office and your growth. Stay tuned. All right, Glen, I got the opportunity to meet you at my favorite dental event, Dykema, and got to catch up with you there. And you shared your journey with me. And it was really cool. Your story was unique. I think you kind of did it the opposite way that a lot of other people do it. And I wanted to kind of share that with our audience today. So Glen, would you mind telling us how you got into the dental industry?
Yeah, thanks, Gary. It's certainly a little bit atypical, I think, my journey, and hopefully it might resonate with a few. But I didn't start off going into dental. I started off as an accountant. I started with Ernst & Young, spent my first 10 years-ish with Ernst & Young. I spent half of that time in our national tax practice in Washington, D.C., decided that tax was not where I wanted to live my career in. So I flipped out to one of our practice offices in Northern Virginia. I was there for about a year and a half, and I got recruited by one of our clients, the Carlyle Group, big private equity company in Washington, D.C. I was there for about 7 years, leading a couple of our investment funds.
And what was that like, the investment funds, like the way we think about them, the way, we hear about them on TV and stuff, where a lot of money in them and people put in their money and then they kind of distribute it everywhere and try to get...
Yeah, that's exactly right. I did not, I played more of the CFO role for the funds that I helped manage. Our funds invested first in real estate in Asia. So it's exactly what you said. We would find investors that were interested in investing their money with us. They would do that. We would pool that money and then make investments in real estate opportunities in Asia, all through the eastern seaboard of Asia, China, Japan, Korea, down into India. Fascinating experience. I did not do the finding of the opportunities. We had investment colleagues that did that. Once they found the opportunities, I'd work with them to put together their investment thesis, present that to our investment committee, get that approved. And once it was approved, I would help consummate the deal, get the deal done, and then work with the teams to execute the investment thesis. It was a lot of fun, learned a ton. After I'd been there for about 3-4 years, I was asked to switch over to our Asia Growth Fund, which invested more in growth companies, not just real estate, but growth companies. Same geography, but different focus, I guess. And it was fantastic. Just learned a lot. Great experience.
Hey, sorry to interrupt the show, but I got something that's going to provide a ton of value to you. So we've been doing a series called Ask Gary, where people send in their questions and we answer them live on the show. So we wanted to answer the question today of Val. But before we do that, if you have any questions, email them in at askgary@smcnational.com, or you can DM us on social media or leave a comment below. So this question came in from Val, and she wanted to know, how do different markets impact marketing costs? So I recently just had a customer who was actually stuck behind a mountain, and it really was impacting their cost per lead. I've also seen people who have offices near borders or rivers. You see this a lot in the Northwest, up by New York and New Jersey, and it's really, really important that you understand those markets before you get involved with them on the marketing side, because traffic flow will impact that, and it is not straightforward. So you can be hit by borders, rivers, bridges, mountains. All of these things do impact your marketing. And a lot of times the answers are not entirely clear until you start marketing. So you always want to look at a map first, then you want to start testing, then you want to scale from there. So these are people from the US that want to invest in a US company that understands these foreign markets. Is that right?
It's global. So we had investors from all over the world. We have investment funds all over the world. Carlyle is probably one of, if not the biggest private equity. I think everybody in the dental market is familiar with private equity. Carlyle is one of the biggest out there. And it was great to learn from some really smart people that were really, really good at what they did, kind of understand what investors look at when they get into a deal like that. So I do bring that perspective of, what does a private equity company look at when they're looking in the dental market? So that was kind of fun. So I started to transition from being a tax accountant into more of a business generalist, more of a finance generalist through that experience, much more where I wanted my career to go. Then I had an opportunity to flip out and become the CFO of a public company in Washington, D.C., Virginia, Northern Virginia, called the Sutron Corporation. We built weather and water monitoring equipment, certainly nothing to do with dental. So far in my career, I'm probably 18, 20 years in, and I have not touched dental yet.
Yep.
So as CFO of this public company, we attracted the attention of a company called the Danaher Corporation, big Fortune 200 conglomerate based out of Washington, D.C. They are in the business of running businesses. Mm-hmm. That's their claim to fame. And they just, as opposed to the private equity model where we will invest, try to run a business more efficiently, more effective, increase the value of that business, and then have some kind of recognition event where we sell or transact the company we bought for more than we bought it for to earn a return for investors. Danaher's model is a little different. They invest for the long term. Mm-hmm. So they'll buy a company and just say, we're going to be better at running this company than anyone else could be, and we're just going to run it for the long term and try to grow value sustainably over a long period of time. They've been very, very good at that. Again, really, really smart people, good at what they did. So they acquired us after I'd been there for about 5 years. I stayed on for about a year and a half with them to transition our company to their platform. They pride themselves in being a CFO training ground. I was the CFO at the time, but they really introduced a new rigor of looking at a business by the numbers and really trying to lead a business by the numbers, which was very educational for me, great learning ground. Then I went on from that experience to be the CFO of a public corporation in Philadelphia that built electronic payment devices and put them on vending machines. So it was a payment company, very interesting company. It's called Cantaloupe now. So I was with them for a few years, helped them grow their business a little bit, helped them through some challenges they were having on the reporting side, where I was able to get beyond that and get the company in some good footing. And that's when I started looking around and got interested in an opportunity with Henry Schein One. So Henry Schein One was really my first foray into the dental market. Up until now, again, 22 plus years in my career, I had not touched dental really. Danaher had some dental components to their platform, but I was not involved with them really. So I knew some of the leadership at Henry Schein One, got my foot in the door through that, and just with my experience leading public companies as well as the private equity side, I had some of the elements that they were really looking for to lead one of their. So Henry Schein is the big public company. They had a division, Henry Schein One, that focuses on dental software, and that was the partnership that I led. From the financial side for 2.5 years.
And your title was head of finances?
So I was the VP of finance, same role as the CFO at this entity. So I had a team of, 30 or so folks that helped run the financial department of Henry Schein One. Great experience, learned a lot about the dental industry. Had I the opportunity to do it over again, I would definitely do it in reverse order of what I'm doing now. I think what I'm doing now would have informed my ability to really make a difference at Henry Schein
Yeah,
One
yeah,
much
yep.
better than the way I've done it now. So I started at the big business to business company of selling software to dentists to help them run their practice before I really dove in and understood what it was to lead a dental practice. I was at Henry Schein One for 2.5 years, and then had this opportunity to come lead this dental practice in St. George, Utah.
So
In the
before we jump into that, because I'm excited to
Mhm.
hear this, I think our audience would be super curious for the behind the scenes of Henry Schein, because we all know the name, we all interact with them. They're a huge company,
Yeah,
insanely successful. What can you tell us about working there, and maybe stuff
yeah,
that especially from a perspective now that you've worked in a dental office, you know the stuff we want to hear about.
yeah. So again, I wish I had brought this perspective to Henry Schein One, but what I can say is that to a person at Henry Schein One, they are caring about making a difference. I think to a person that I worked with, they really wanted to be the best for our customers and to find solutions that really work for our customers. From our head of technology, who I worked with very closely, our head of marketing, all of the leaders of the company really were looking to find that impact of a sustainable platform for our dental practices, our clients to grow in. We spent a lot of effort and a lot of work stewing over that and trying to get to the latest in the technology sector. Any technology is only as good as how effective it was yesterday, and it changes on a daily basis. So, a lot of our conversations are, what's the next greatest thing? What's the next great
Mm,
thing that we can help build so that this, Dentrix is our flagship. It's been around for 20 plus years. But we look at Dentrix and say, how can we continue to evolve Dentrix so that it continues to be the go-to um, PMS and patient management system for
yeah.
the
Is that who
industry.
you guys use now? You guys use Dentrix?
We do use Dentrix, yes.
Yeah.
So we're a group practice, so we use Dentrix Enterprise. It's perfect for our practice, and it, they were using it before I came on, so that's not something that I led coming over from Henry Schein, but it was interesting that they do use our software. We do
Yeah.
use a couple of other plugins that are not Henry Schein related, but for our practice management solution, we do use Dentrix.
What's before we jump into what you're doing now, which I want to tie that in because I think the audience is going to be put more weight on your words because of this. But what can offices do to better leverage their relationship with the Henry Scheins of the world now that you kind of understand both sides of it?
I what I would say is just get to a point where you know how to use all of what the software can do. That involves having a good relationship with a customer service department, investing the time to really dig in and get to know the software. But there are a lot of resources within the software, and frankly, I was not aware of all of what Dentrix did before I came onto the practice. It's funny
Yeah.
how it's worked this way,
Yep.
but I've had to get into the nuts and bolts of it much more in the role that I'm in now. And I would just say, just be aware of what the software can do for your practice and utilize it. The data is so helpful. We talk about KPIs and the things that you can do to run a practice. Um, I'm in the process of developing our own KPIs for our practice that are relevant to us,
Yeah.
and it's required me to get in and really understand the bolts of what done. And it's not just Dentrix; it's all of the software
Yeah.
coming together to make your total full technology stack and what you're trying to accomplish with your practice. But just get to know the software, have good relationships with the training folks. They're more than, our training people at Henry Schein One were incredibly busy, always hard to get in touch with, but they were really, really good and really smart at what they do. They have a lot of training webinars and videos. Take advantage of those, learn it, and really use the software to its fullest capability. That's what I'd recommend.
Okay, that's really good advice. So now we're you're a CEO of a growing group, and again, you've kind of taken the opposite road that a lot of people take. But I think that's what drew me to you. That I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I really want to have this conversation. So tell us a little bit about now that you've jumped into the dental seat, some of the things that you're learning, the good, the bad, the ugly, all that good stuff. Because here's the thing about dental: everybody just goes, "Yeah, we're at 10 practices. We're going to go to 100." And then they get there and they're like, yeah, we made it to 100 and now we're going to the, and it's just like, everything sounds so rosy and so great, but we all know there's really hard stuff. And that's what helps us get better is the hard stuff.
Yeah. So what brought me to this dental practice is our practice, it's two offices, two very successful offices. We're across those two offices, we have 19 operatories. We have a capacity issue we need to grow, and so we're looking to do that. But the dentists, we have 5 dentists in the 2 practices. They're just fantastic, working really, really hard. Our 2 primary owner dentists were trying to run the business and be dentists, and it was just getting to a point that it was hard to devote the time and attention they needed to run the business and still have the quality of patient care that they expect of themselves. So they look to bring on an executive leader to help run the business side of things. That's how I started talking with them. Got connected with them through a mutual friend that was on my team at Henry Schein One. They knew that they were looking for a role like this, so that's how I started talking to them. But yeah, you're so right. I mean, there are so many things when you start digging that you just don't think about that have to get dealt with. I'm doing a lot of employee relations, HR side of things, helping make sure that we're stabilized on that front, which has been great. It has helped me get to know our staff really, really well in a short amount of time. I really appreciate what our staff does, much more so than I did before. Rather than just knowing the roles of, every dentist office has assistants and hygienists and office staff and doctors,
Yeah.
but really to see how they all interact together and form a team that is cohesive and sustainable. That's the biggest thing for me getting into this role and thinking about how can I help this practice grow, is we don't just want to grow for the sake of growing. We want to grow for the sake of, one, doing the right thing for our patient base here in St. George, Utah, and 2, doing it in a sustainable way where this is not just something that we grow and then 2 years later it starts to fall apart.
Yeah.
We're trying to do it in a sustainable way where we can maintain the culture that's been built at our practice, start to expand that throughout our expanded geography here. And, if we do that within our own geography, then maybe we'll start to look at other places for expansion as well. But, we're not looking to quadruple our size overnight. We're looking to do it, I wouldn't say slow and steady, but in a managed way so that we can just continue to build the culture that we've been so successful at thus far.
Awesome. Now, I'm just sitting here listening to your story and thinking through this, and then also thinking through the dental component. And one thing that popped in my head instantly was I'm thinking about most dental practices when they grow. Usually, it has a dentist who is what I call a fractional CEO, right? And so this person's practicing, and then they're trying to be the CEO as well, and it's hard to do both of those things. And so at 2 practices, how did your partners or the people that you're working with come to the conclusion, you know what, we need to bring somebody from the outside in, which I think is genius, and I think that it'll put you guys on a great path. But that's strange. Like even a lot of the big DSOs now, they didn't even start that way. So walk me through that.
Yeah, it is. It's certainly a bit atypical. They have a lot of opportunities in this practice to do a bunch of different things. they really want to their credit, maintain what they've built and continue to get bigger. In order to do that, they were, like you said, one of the dentists in particular was basically the fractional CEO. He was spending 50% of his time doing CEO work and the other 100% of his time doing dentist work. And I intentionally said that's 150%. He was being a dentist all day long. And then at the end of the day, when he's exhausted after treating patients for 10 hours, he would start to think, okay, what do I need to do to run the business? And it was just unwieldy. It's
Yeah,
just too much.
it's hard.
I've gotten in and I'm working my more than a full-time job trying to run the business and just blown away of I can't believe anyone was trying to do this and be a full-time dentist. It just was not manageable. So, we have challenges for sure. They're good challenges to have, but it really requires someone to be dedicated and focused on those challenges 100% of the time, day in, day out. I have a commitment that I'm in the office with the team 100% of the time. So between our two offices, I'm in one of them every day, working with the team, just shouldering up with them, learning from them. It's not a remote thing for me. It was one of the things that I wanted to do.
Yeah,
It's so important to just be in the culture and be with the people.
yeah,
And it's made a big difference. I think it's helped me I've been here for 3 months. It's gotten me onboarded really quickly. It's helped me get into the issues quickly and really see where I can take this kind of eclectic, broad experience that I've had, bring it all together and say, seen a lot of different things in my career. I can pull from different experiences and really help make a difference. Like
that's
some of what I'm bringing to the practice is more of the CFO, look at the numbers, pull out trends, look at KPIs, just ways of looking at the practice in ways that they've never done before. And
mm,
when I put numbers in front of them to a person, they're like, "Wow, this is pretty neat stuff. Never thought of it this way." And it's really been helpful from that perspective.
yeah. I
So
bet, I bet that's huge for the folks that you're working with, and most people probably wish they had that early on. Most people don't. So it's awesome that they hired a CEO that has that financial background, like a really strong financial background. That makes all the difference in the world. One thing you said was culture and being in the office, and I want to pose a question to you. And culture has kind of become a side conversation recently, but I think it's going to become more and more important as people compete for talent. And one thing that I've noticed a lot is that you hear about these amazing cultures at these dental organizations, these DSOs. They go, "Oh, we got the best culture," and they probably do. They're probably great. But then there's like a separate culture at the dental office. So you have this DSO, great culture, and then you have the dental office dumpster fire and turnover and I've always struggled with that because I'm like, oh wait, I thought you said great culture, but it seems like there's a disconnect there. What are your, obviously you have some thoughts on this because you're like, no, I have to be in office to make this work. What are your thoughts on that and what you've seen and what you're doing differently?
It's really interesting. This is the premise of why I'm here at this dental practice. Our dentists looked at the opportunities that were presented to them. They had the option to go down the path of selling to a holding company or a DSO or what have you. But they wanted to retain what they built with their culture. And rather than turn the business side over to a company that would perhaps have a different culture or do
Mm,
things differently, they wanted to bring someone on that was aligned with their culture and say, help us grow within our own culture. Help us come be part of this and join our team, be part of our team, and help us all walk down this growth path, this trajectory within the same strategy, the same culture, the same strategy. And that's been little bit of a refreshing concept to me. I think I'm sure there are others that do this. It's actually interesting. I've been in a number of activities with the dental industry in the local area where I've been meeting with other doctors, and they are all aware of me now and saying, "Can you help us do what you're doing for them?" Because we
yeah,
see the same need to have a CEO presence within
yeah,
our own practice can you be a fractional CEO and spend your time with Riverside and go help me with my practice as well?
You can do a
So
lot of things fractionally, but CEOs are really hard to do a fractional CEO.
yeah, of course, I just laugh and say, yeah, I'll give you some contacts that might be interested in doing this kind of thing for you, but I've got to focus on the practice I'm at. But yeah, it's been really interesting to see how much of a difference an executive level person can have in right, it's atypical. I mean, I would live my life in corporate America, CFO boards,
Yeah.
and now I'm working with private practice, 2 dentists who own the business, and 3 associate dentists, and the great team that supports our practice. It's very different. It's a different experience, but it's refreshing. It's so alive. You come to the office, it's so dynamic. Everyone is just working 100% all the time. Go, 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 go. Our offices are open 12 hours a day, and we start seeing patients the minute the door opens, and we
Doesn't stop.
we don't lock the door until the last one
There's
leaves.
no time for board meetings. Let's just say that.
No board meetings.
Yeah. So, okay. So, what is one thing that you've come in and you've said, man, I didn't realize this about dental practices once you got in? What was the thing that you were like, holy smokes, this is so different than what I thought it was going to be? Was there anything on your radar like that?
Well, there's a number of things. One of our initiatives is to grow. And you think opening a new office is not complicated. I'm just going to go in, find the land, and we're just going to go gangbusters. It is really hard to get everything done that needs to be done. There's just so many details in running a dental practice. When you think of growing, opening a new office, a new practice, and that you're taking your team, and so we're going from 2 to 3 to 4, whatever we decide to do. But finding the right people to open a new office is so difficult.
Yeah.
Finding the people, we really like the staff that we have. They do fantastic work, super engaged. But to find like-minded people that will fit that mold and come in and be part of our culture is not easy. So just all of the little tiny things, and maintaining that culture with the existing team so they stay incentivized and motivated and giving their best efforts. Throughout my career, I have Clayton Christensen, great business leader. He's one of my favorite quotes of his says, "People who love what they do and they think their work is meaningful have a distinct advantage when they come to work every day. They give their best efforts, and when our people give their best efforts, that's when the magic happens. They come to work and they just throw themselves at it and say, I'm giving my all." And trying to provide that environment where people think that their work is meaningful so that they give their best efforts. That's powerful stuff, but it takes a lot of getting into the weeds, working with them, working together to create that culture where we can all come together and feel our work is meaningful so that we are giving our best efforts. But to build that, maintain it, and then grow it, it's super difficult, and takes a lot of work, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of just giving your all and being invested. And it's been really fun. Love it. Wouldn't change my experience. I think all of what I've done, even if it's a little bit backwards, has created this opportunity for me where I can come in and say, I'm ready to do this. I have a lot of different types of ideas in different elements of running a business, whether it's the CFO side or the HR side or the technology side, so many different things. I mean, where the hardest thing for me is I'm not a dentist, right? So the one thing I can't really help with is the clinical side.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm learning a lot of the clinical side from the dentists, but that's not what they've hired me to do. They've said, we've got the clinical side.
Yeah.
You take everything else. Let us worry about the clinical side. So, you ask, what's one thing that's been different for you? I think that's probably it is I'm getting more immersed in the clinical side just because it's not something
Yeah.
I've really experienced before.
Awesome. Well, this has been really, really good. You did a great job. Honestly, the time flew by. I was planning on keeping this at 20 minutes and we're well past that. Thank you so much for coming on and just sharing your journey. I think it will be very interesting to people and a big help.
Well, Gary, I appreciate it very much. It was great to talk to you at Dykema and really appreciate the follow-up. Your team has been great. Worked with them on a couple other things since then. So just a lot of fun.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for
my
having
friend.
me. You bet.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.